A darker, sleeker, and sexier version of the infamous scar has been added into Fortnite, so let's take a look at whether the suppressed scar is better or worse than its dominant predecessor. Sorry if my voice sounds a little bit raspy throughout this video, because I did just come off a full week of having a sore throat, and it still isn't fully healed yet, so I apologize, you'll just have to bear with me. To start off this video, let's go ahead and take a look at the patch notes for the Silent Scar. They say suppressed assault rifle added. Sneaky weapon that rewards trigger discipline with precision. Can be found in vending machines, floor loot, treasure chests, and supply drops. Available in epic and legendary variants. 32/33 damage per shot. So right off the bat, the most obvious difference between the Silence SMG and the normal SMG is that the Silence SMG does 3 less damage per shot. The fire rate and reload speed, however, remain the same. The biggest statement in these patch notes was the bullet point stating that the Silence SMG rewards trigger discipline. What does that mean though? Well, in order to understand this, we need to break down the bloom of these two weapons. It's been a while since I've explained bloom, so let me give a quick explanation to those of you who are new here. Bloom is the randomization of where your bullets can go in Fortnite. In the middle of your screen, you have a dot that represents your reticle. Around the reticle are 4 lines. Those lines signify the area in which your bullet can potentially go. So the closer to the reticle that those 4 lines are, the more accurate your weapon is going to be. So now let's take a look at the bloom of the Silent Scar versus the normal scar. Right here is a side-by-side of these two weapons when holding still and firing in full auto. As you can tell, the Silent Scar starts off more accurately, but once it gets going, its bloom exceeds that of the normal scar greatly. Right here is a side-by-side between these two weapons when you are strafing and also firing in full auto, and the same observation can be made. Silence starts out strong but quickly gets out of control. The Silent Scar being less accurate long term really surprised me, because when I first got the Silent Scar in game, I noticed right away that when running and jumping, the Silent Scar didn't seem to be too affected. As you can see from this clip, when not firing the weapons and simply running and jumping, the Silent Scar's bloom is much more confined than the normal scars. So what does Epic Games mean when they say that the Silent Scar rewards trigger discipline? Well, as we've shown, the Silent Scar does start out better than the normal scar, even though it does get carried away as we continue to fire these weapons. We can also see this when comparing how fast we can use first shot accuracy for these two weapons. The Silent Scar is able to get first shot accuracy 1 frame faster than the normal scar, as shown here. I slowed it down drastically so you can easily tell which one is better. Now 1 frame is only approximately 17 thousandths of a second, so it is a very small advantage, but it is an advantage nonetheless. Now although the advantage is only 17 thousandths of a second when it comes to consecutive shots using first shot accuracy, the advantage can be much higher if you move excessively prior. As shown earlier, the Silent Scar performs much better when running and jumping. So if you jump and then you immediately want to use first shot accuracy, the Silent Scar will be able to do so much faster than the normal scar. Now even though the Silent Scar has the advantage in terms of how fast it can use first shot accuracy, you do have to remember that it is doing 2 to 3 less damage per shot than its normal counterpart. Why do I say 2 to 3? Well, that's because of the difference in damage drop off for these two weapons. Both of these weapons start damage drop off at 10 planks. A plank is just a piece of wood laid flat on the ground. 1 plank is approximately 5 meters. So both of these weapons start damage drop off at 10 planks and also end their damage drop off at 19 planks. But the Gold Scar ends at 24 damage, whereas the Silence Gold Scar ends at 22 damage. So at different given ranges, the difference in damage between these two weapons is either 2 or 3. How big of a difference is that 2 or 3 damage? Well, before damage drop off occurs for both of these weapons, I'd say it's a major difference. When the normal scar is doing 36 damage per shot, it only takes 3 bullets to the body to kill a 100 health opponent, which is a time to kill of 36 hundredths of a second. The Silence Gold Scar, however, is only doing 33 damage per shot, which requires 4 shots to the body to kill, resulting in a time to kill of 55 hundredths of a second. That is a very sizable difference, especially considering that most SMGs hover around the 4/10 of a second mark for their time to kill. So is the loss in damage worth the better first shot accuracy ability for the Silent Scar? It's an interesting debate which I'll get into at the end, but let's look at the final difference between these two weapons, and that is of course that one is silenced and one is not. If you watch my recent silenced SMG video, you'll know that I'm personally not a major fan of the suppressed aspect of weapons, but I do think that I give them a tad bit less credit than they deserve. One thing I wondered is what the hearing difference is between a suppressed weapon and a non-suppressed weapon, so of course I tested it out. You stop being able to hear the suppressed Scar at 10 planks, approximately 50 meters, whereas you can hear the normal Scar all the way up to 35 planks, which is approximately 175 meters. That is a major difference, but how big is the applicable impact? Suppressed weapons have been known to be very dominant in games such as Call of Duty. Why are they so dominant in a game like that? Well, mainly because of the fast time to kill. If you're able to catch an opponent off guard and kill them before they can fire their weapon, then you are able to reap the benefits of the suppressed weapon. You are able to very quickly take out your opponent before they could fire back at you and cause any noise, therefore making it so that other players nearby were unable to hear that engagement. While common in Call of Duty, this scenario isn't going to happen too often in a game like Fortnite, where the time to kill is much higher. More than likely, the person you are fighting is going to at the very least get one shot off before you are able to kill them, so if they weren't using a silenced weapon, then suddenly anyone within 175 meters is going to hear that fight and come running. But where you can really take advantage of the silence aspect of this weapon is when you're shooting multiple opposing players from a hidden location. A good example would be sitting in a building in Tilted Towers and peeking to take quick shots and then getting into cover before people discover where you are. If you're able to shoot at players who are already fighting each other, then they'll have trouble focusing on where you are, and the suppressed aspect of the weapon will also prevent any other nearby players from targeting you. As I've mentioned in a previous video, it's pretty obvious where a person shot you from when they hit you, even if you are using a suppressed weapon. So in order to take advantage of the cloaking aspect of the Silent Scar, you need to use it in situations where there are other distractions to help mask your position. So in a playlist like Squads, you could do very well with this weapon if you play passively and shoot at the right times when players are distracted by your teammates or other things going on. In the same way, this weapon can be very good at the start of a game where there is a lot going on and people are distracted by the craziness of trying to find weapons and survive. Obviously, you aren't going to be blessed too often with this weapon at the start, considering its only two variants are epic and legendary. I'd personally be very interested to see the rarity of this weapon drop down to green and blue. The damage reduction is enough to justify this weapon being of a lower rarity in my personal opinion, not because the weapon isn't good, but simply because it doesn't have the insane time to kill that the normal Scars do. So in conclusion, Scar versus suppressed Scar, which is better? For me personally, I'd go with the Scar. As a lot of you know, I was born with poor eyesight, so for me, I don't have a lot of use for weapons that are required to be used passively and at longer ranges, so the weapon that does more damage is the weapon that is better for me personally. But if you're someone who wants to play very tactically and passively, the Silent Scar could be the option for you. I could see the Silent Scar having a similar place in the game as the double barrel shotgun, where it isn't used too often in public matches, but in Fortnite tourneys worth millions of dollars, I think we could see a lot of pros using the Silent Scar. If you are someone who has yet to use the Silent Scar, or you don't really know how to effectively use it, just remember to fire cautiously. Holding down the trigger anywhere after 5 bolts with the silenced scar is where you're going to start experiencing a lot of bloom. So make sure to take advantage of that fast first shot accuracy and pace your shots accordingly. Anyway, that is all that I have for this video. I hope that it was informative. If you are new here and like this type of content, feel free to subscribe, as I will be doing more in the very near future. For all of you who have made it to this point in the video, thank you so very much. I truly do appreciate it, and I'll catch you all in my next video.